All right. All right. All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 6, Part 6, The Bounty. All right. Let's get to it. Let's get to it, shall we? All right. Sorry, I'm just doing some stuff here. Okay. So this show, as I said for the past 5 videos, it's right now one of the, I don't want to say it's perfect because I haven't seen the entire thing yet, but so far, you have to understand, for those of you that have followed me for some time or have known me personally, okay? Star Trek has been um Star Trek has been very disappointing for many years. Uh See, and I remember, going into Star Trek 2009 and thinking, okay, this was cool, this was different. Then Into Darkness came out, and I remember there was just problems. And I remember I haven't watched those movies in quite some time. And then when Star Trek Discovery came out, when the resurgence of Trek uh, was popping up again, I went back, watched those a couple of times, and I've noticed that there were problems with those films. And with the writing and the motivations of character, motivation, right? Keyword. Let's talk about that. Motivation. Uh Nothing in New Trek. Going back watching, the Kelvin universe films and watching pretty much all of Star Trek Discovery minus a couple of episodes, just because I just didn't feel like watching them. I was just so, like, overwhelmed by how cringe and how much it tries to call itself Star Trek, but it isn't Star Trek, and it's not even a really good science fiction show. The characters are just terribly written. The storylines don't make sense because they're not consistent. They forget their own lore, so to speak, because it's such a it's a mess. I feel like there's no communication within the writing staff in that show. And it's just ridiculous and dumb and nonsensical, and it doesn't make sense. If you're trying to do a story that takes place before the original series, there were things in there that you're like, I get it. You want to show off your special effects, and all those things, but you kind of want to stay consistent within the lore and the canon and all of those things, but whatever. But that's here or there, okay? I don't like New Trek. This show, I do, every episode gets better and better. And I don't know if this would be considered my favorite episode of the season. I don't know if this would be, I don't know. So far, it's my favorite episode. And I've said that for like the last episode. I loved the last episode. The last episode, I sat there and thought about things, right? I thought about, Rolaren and and what happened, what she had to do at the end. So with this episode following up on that, we get Worf, Raffi, they're beamed on board the Titan. They're discussing this issue, that somebody stole stuff from Daystrom, and they want to find out who, why, all of those things. And the show opens up with, we get, Jack Crusher already knowing that, okay, he's not crazy. He may not be crazy, because he's getting all these visions and stuff. It kind of reminds me of Stranger Things with the hallways and all this stuff. And the red door. What's behind the red door? We don't know yet. Okay, that is a mystery here. So, they're at the bar, they're getting a drink, drinking, and he's just drinking, his sorrows because he realized he inherited his father's, um, his syndrome that he has, this disease that he carried for his entire life. So Jack Crusher's kind of like, damn, and this is something that is going to haunt him. It's gonna be a weight on him, so to speak. Not really so much haunt, I guess. I don't know, perhaps, but we're just kind of starting out to figure shit out. We don't know yet what's happening. We don't truly know what's happening here. So he's drinking at the bar, the holodeck, and all those things. And of course, here is, like I mentioned, we got Worf, we got Raffi, uh, Beverly Crusher gives him a hug. It's good to see him again. Old friends, reunited. So, and it's like I said, it's great to see Worf in this show. I love it. I love Worf. Worf is he's my favorite so far in this show. He's like the guy that, like, he reminds me of Star Trek. And they never tarnished his character. They never did a Worf season 1 where they took his character and he pretty much was bowing down to everyone and apologizing to everyone and all of that, and then made him into a goofy old Klingon. No, they 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 wrote his character in this show as if they never missed a beat from Deep Space Nine to this, or from the movies to this. But Worf never really had a really good, solid ending, to his character. In Nemesis, he really never showed off his skills, as a Klingon warrior. That movie really, the movie was to me, it wasn't great. I watch it now as a 37-year-old with a different lens, as opposed to being 15, thinking it was the coolest thing ever, watching spaceships go into battle. Picard had a clone. Um, he's my clone. Um, and all of those things. But when you grow up and you start to read more books, you start to educate yourself with science fiction authors and all of those things, and just you know authors in general, and just get an insight on screenwriting, all those things, anything that has to do with storytelling. That also came front and center for me now, watching everything as opposed to just watching the spectacle of it all when you're younger. So watching Star Trek Nemesis, boy, that movie's got problems. That movie's got problems, but it's one of those guilty pleasures because it was a movie that came out in my youth, and it was also a movie that I enjoyed seeing in the theater with my mom, um, and just being entertained as hell by it. And it was cool because it was the final movie for a long time. It was. I mean, it was the last next gen film, and compared to Undiscovered Country, I mean, come on. There's no comparison really. It was disappointing. It ends like there could be another one. Um but anyway, so with this, it's great to see Worf back. It's great to see everyone back. It's great to see, the bond that these guys had. It's never missed. It's there, and you feel it also because the actors are also really good friends, and so that helps, and it bleeds right through the performance. So now we got Todd Stashwick here. I absolutely love this dude as this character. Look, Captain Shaw. Say what you want about him, but he's not very black and white. And that's why I like this character. There's a lot of weirdos on Twitter out there that are like, Why are you glorifying a guy who's a bigot and da da da? Okay, first off, you should stop watching shit and just go educate yourself on things. Okay, on life and everything. You know, go outside, feel the air, touch some grass. You know, do something, smoke some weed, something. This character, okay, I think that he is a very, 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 very awesome new Star Trek character that I personally, for me, I enjoy. Now, do I want to watch a series with this guy? Yeah, because if anything, this show could be the character growth that we could see in Captain Shaw before he gets and earns that adventure, those solo adventures with him and the crew and the Titan and all of those things. But that really depends on how this show ends. Perhaps he dies. I hope not. Fuck, I hope not. But the crew of the Titan, you get a sense of just this organic flow, of respect, and I don't want to say like brotherhood or anything like that because I don't think it's there yet because this is just 6 episodes into this crew that's pretty much we're being introduced to them, but so far I'm not opposed to them. Sydney LaForge is a really cool character. I enjoy seeing her. She's great, and we get into this plot point. Now, I want to say something here about this episode in particular. Okay. Now, these three here work together very well. Okay. They go into the Daystrom facility. And not to like, get into too much detail in case you want to watch the episode, or in case you've watched the episode, you guys know what I'm talking about. Just like to talk about the things that I liked about this episode. Is okay. These three, Worf, Riker, and Raffi, they work well together. Again, Raffi was never my favorite character. I thought she was the worst character of all of Star Trek. Not the actress' fault. Okay, it's the writing. It was something that I never connected with. I never connected with her. It's not a thing. It's just it's from a storytelling point of view, I guess. Like I didn't her character's motivation and all of those things were a bit hollow, and they try to disguise it with using the whole sun aspect to try to pull you in. I thought that was weird and strange and very forced. And you can tell that this actress is really doing the best that she can with the material that she's given. And this right here, this is awesome material. This is something that you could tell she's having a blast, doing and performing and doing all of these things. So as far as her, for her sake, I'm glad that she got to do this, that there was an opportunity, at least in this Star Trek, in this next generation, season 8, if you will. There's an opportunity here for her to kind of unfold her character and and do something that really matters. So they kind of glossed over her and Seven of Nine's relationship from the first 2 seasons, which again is a testament to how bland and how bland to terrible that show was. So to the point where like this series in particular, season 3, you don't really need to watch seasons 1 and 2 at all. You can go right into All Good Things, watch the movies, and then go right into this season. And you're golden. You're still golden. You're not missing out on anything. There's no plot holes, no nothing. It's all there. The way it's written, I love it. I love it. Um, I know it's not direct, but it's also a subtle middle figure to Alex Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman, because this has got to be embarrassing that the shows that they ran, they never released numbers. The ratings were terrible. The Audience scores were terrible. I mean, nobody liked it, and it wasn't because of any bigotry or anything. No, it was just it's objectively these stories were not that good. And I know that we all want to love Star Trek, especially when you get an abundance of it. So we all have to like it. Not really. I mean, you can not like it and say you don't, and imagine if a lot of people did that and they were honest. Imagine what they would do. Perhaps they would course correct. Who knows? Um maybe we will get more writers like Terry Metalis to come in and take over Trek. But Terry Metalis takes over a show. Look how this show is the response that this show is getting is it's crazy. It's cool because it reminds me of the good old days when I was a kid when Star Trek was coming out and Star Trek was still just jamming, man, like with fun and adventure and all this other shit. And it's taking me back. And I know this is going to happen once. This is not going to happen again. So I'm enjoying it right now. But this show could still turn bad. We're only 6 episodes in. We're halfway down through the show, but this is where things start to get heavy. Now, I wanted to mention here that this particular episode, okay, has a lot of story in it. There's a lot in it that's in 1 hour. Does it feel crammed in? No, not really. It's told well. Every character has their moment. Every moment has its moment, and it's flowed and gelled well. But there's a lot of story here. This is where we're going to get into closer to the third act of the movie aspect of things. We're still in the second act. So we got these three here, and these three work together. Like I said before, they work so well together, and I enjoyed it. Not one of those that's like I want to see a series about them. No, I just for this particular episode, the show, they worked well. And what's cool about this is something I wanted to mention that I think was interesting. Let me get into this scene here. Okay, now we're introduced to what we all call member berries. All right. Y'all watch South Park? Okay. Not going to get into the whole history there. But, okay. Member berries. Nostalgia pieces, throughout your content, to kind of give you the illusion that what you are watching is the best thing ever since that, since whatever. Okay. Star Wars does that. They like to throw that out there a lot. They haven't learned their lesson that a lot of people don't care for it anymore. They don't care for the nostalgia bait. The nostalgia bait, everyone kind of sniffed up some bullshit. A lot of people are still just kind of like, zombified to the whole thing, still, unfortunately. But for me, I learned the hard way. When you watch something that seems like, oh man, this is just like before, and there's moments in there, gives you the illusion that you are getting something of a treat. But it really, if you got sloppy storytelling, there's no point. It all means nothing. If you don't have a good story, it all means nothing. So, um, let's see here. They go through the station, all right? And what I see here, nice little let's go back. They're going through this whole station here, and then they're seeing all these familiar things. You see Riker, actually look at what looks like a second version of the Genesis device, which was pretty cool. It's a throwback to Star Trek 2, but these are things in there that's like top secret shit, like this is stuff that's not, you know what I mean? Like Section 31 type shit. But, you know, we- yeah. So secret shit, like Area 51 type shit to those who are like, what was that? What section? What? Okay. So these guys are going through it, but they had to actually like bypass the security system to avoid detection. that they got from this guy. It was like a key, so they put it in this slot, and therefore they're not detect. So they go into the station, all that, and automatically you see the computer pick up on Riker's scan, uh, throwing a picture showing of Riker, like what, first contact insurrection era, picture profile, um, and so they have like little member berries here, and I want you to see whose medical chart that is. Now, damn, it just keeps going. Here we go. But it kind of occurred to me that this opens some doors. Okay, and if you look there, whose name do you see? Aha, James T. Kirk, Federation Starship Enterprise. So James T. Kirk has his bio readings. Okay, that's displayed there. Is this acknowledging that he is still alive somehow? Are they acknowledging that he is perhaps a synthetic, kind of like Picard, where they took the consciousness of James Kirk and put it in a android that looks like him, and it looks and can't really tell the difference? Who knows? Although I think the whole android thing was dumb in the first place, so I really hope not. I hope that this is just like this is James Kirk. But why would you have someone's bio readings there? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, did they put him? Is he frozen in there? It raises a lot of questions. Okay, Terry Metalis put this there, and now it's going to open a lot of doors. William Shatner, by the way, just turned 92 yesterday. So happy birthday, William Shatner. Without him, there is no Star Trek, in my opinion. Everyone has their captain. My captain is James T. Kirk. I love Jean Luc Picard. He's a very close second. I grew up with both of them. I grew up with Kirk and Picard. So, all right, moving on. So, in this episode, we get also a reunion with Geordie LaForge. Geordie LaForge, LeVar Burton, butterfly in the sky. So, LeVar Burton and his real life daughter is they play father and daughter. And Sydney LaForge, you could tell that, this relationship between her and her father, okay, this is a little strained because that moment when when he gets off the teleporter, uh, you know, uh, pad. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart because I just woke up and watched the episode yesterday. Um, so she says, she refers to sir, and you're like, ooh. Now, right there at that moment, this is where it amplifies what that relationship is and what we're going to perhaps see what we're going to get into. And so things start becoming interesting because Geordie LaForge now isn't the young hotshot, Top Gun, if you will, of the engineering, of the engineering room, if you will, in Star Trek, like we've seen him in Star Trek Next Generation and somewhat in the films. He is a Commodore. So it's kind of cool to see him be the curator of this space station, which this space station is the same exact space station we have seen in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, Star Trek 4, and Star Trek 6. And it's great that that has become kind of like a museum of sorts. And you see all of the other former starships of the past, um, as kind of like monuments that are surrounding the space station. It's so awesome. It was pretty cool to see. Let's get into that part actually here. Yeah, and of course, like when they had a moment where they had to show off the beauties of the beauty, okay? Uh Look at that. That's that is my enterprise. I love that enterprise. That is my that's shit. I mean, look, I mean, come on. Watching that again. Now, this was important. When I say that they throw in nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, this isn't that. This was setting up a plot device that I thought was very clever, which I will get into here in a second. But look at that shit. God, that's so beautiful. Such a beautiful ship. That is my favorite ship. That is the Captain James T. Kirk's starship. That is the Enterprise A. Um, that was the one after the first was destroyed. I like that one actually. That one is, I mean, it's the same model, but slight differences here as far as texture and all of those things. But I absolutely love this moment because they had to park in the station to kind of avoid, being noticed for now. Because the Titan A is one of those ships that's kind of unfortunately it communicates with other starships. So being detected can happen like that. So for the time being, they're chilling out. Geordie LaForge is talking to Jean-Luc Picard about how you got my daughter into this situation. Um, they're trying. Jean-Luc Picard is asking Geordie LaForge for his help. Like we got to. There's a situation here that's way way more fucked up than you think. It's pretty bad. So Geordie LaForge, now he's a family man. He's not really no longer the young hotshot, engineer that we all know who puts his life on the line for the ship. He's not that guy anymore. He's a family man. And it's understandable. You completely get it. There is no argument there that he wants to look after his daughters. He's in a totally he's retired quietly, but it's he's a different man now. And so you can only imagine what he's probably thinking when he hears that Jean-Luc Picard, his former captain, has more than half of the original crew with him on board going on this mission. Involved is his daughter, Sydney. And so I thought that was a wonderful moment between those two while these two here talk about ships and such. And there's a cool moment here. Man, I want to see if it'll pick up right here, right there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home. The HMS Bounty is a starship, and this is the moment where they talked about the whale incident. This is a throwback, but here's what's going to happen. The cloaking device was initiated shortly after it sunk, so it was very hard to retrieve the ship. Once they found it, of course, there it is. Now, Jack Crusher has an idea. You start to see the light bulb going off in his head about this cloaking device that this bird of prey has. Okay. If they can use it to their advantage to go back and get Riker, Worf, and Raffi and get them from Daystrom without being detected, great. Cool. So guess what Sidney LaForge and Jack Crusher go off and do? They take the they they take the cloaking device that was used for that, and they make it into they put it into the Titan A, and motherfucker, they the connection to Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home to this to use that as a plot device to get them to use that to go get They're friends. You see what I'm saying is that when you use nostalgia, use it to progress the story forward. That's what clever writers do. That's what creative writers do. Anybody who is in the writing department in Lucasfilm, they cannot do this shit right here. They can't do that. They don't do thought provoking things. They don't do things that make you think and go, "Wow, that's yeah." No, it's just The Mandalorian is it feels like it's written by a 12-year-old compared to this. That's the truth. That's the truth. If you're watching this, you have to admit it. It's true. Okay? But if you like The Mandalorian, great, cool, awesome. This this was cool. I was like, this is awesome. I'm down for this. Let's go. Let's let's go get this shit. Let's go get these guys. And so when this happened though, you start to see the relationship between Jack, Seven. You see that bond that they're having. You start to see also later on that, that Sidney LaForge and Jack also kind of have this connection where they work together, and it's fun and it's very Star Trek, you know? I mean, gee, imagine that. People working together in Star Trek. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? All right. Now, this actress here, aside from the fact that she is a beautiful, uh, gorgeous young lady, she's also a very, very, very awesome actress. She actually could pull the character through. She took a character that I had no clue about in a couple episodes. You got me. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's due to her charm, her charisma that she's got there, but also she's playing a character that is, again, it's a little bit more black and white than anything because there is no, oh, she's angry, she's got angst, so she's this. No, she's got some issues. There's issues between her and her father. You feel that. And she wants to be a pilot and she's not regretting that. And her father wanted her to kind of sort of follow under her wing, and become an engineer. And she didn't go down that path. So there's a lot of her feeling like she failed him, and all those things. So there's more to it than her just being the helmsman, or the not the helmsman, the pilot of the ship. Is that the helm? Yeah, right. That's the same shit, right? Helmsman. Okay. Sorry. Again, just woke up. No coffee. Yeah, I'm getting there. So, all right. So this scene worked for me. It really showcases their relationship. It showcases where Jordy is at in his life too, where he's at, what I mean, how he is in his life in Starfleet, all of those things. And I think that LeVar Burton did a pretty good job with this. Again, the legacy characters, they all slip back into their roles like it's nothing, like they didn't miss a beat. So yeah, that was cool. This whole moment here. So Jordy's really good where he's at in his life right now. So yeah, to join Picard in his quest, it's pretty risky. You're risking your career, but you got to figure out what matters because to her, this crew matters. She wants to continue with them. Jordy wants to have her stay, but she's like, I don't know. This is this is her crew. This is her family. And Jordy is trying to tell her no. But she's like, "Well, this is everything that you've taught me." So to go back on that word would seem hypocritical. So this conversation between them worked for me. Again, character development, character development, character development. I know Paramount doesn't like me using this footage, even if it's on mute. Um, but you know, I'm celebrating it. Tough noogies. In 100 years, they won't care. But anyway, so we get into the third act of this episode, which you've got the rescue of the of Worf and Riker and Raffi. However, as they go through this station, though, they run into the holographic version of Moriarty, which there are clues to unlock something, and it's pretty. God, again, it's so to use nostalgia as things to use for plot devices to move things forward. The writers here planted that wonderfully and very done in an intelligent way. And to have that moment, that throwback to Encounter at Farpoint when Riker and Data ran into each other in the holodeck, and he finishes the tune of "Pop Goes the Weasel," and then the door unlocks, and then you see all of Soong's, Dr. Soong's, his brother created this android, but there's all of like there's B4, there's all this stuff, and this android, is a very complex droid. It's got artificial skin that ages. It looks like an aged version of Data, basically. You know, you got the white slick back hair and all that stuff. Um, when they bring this droid on board, as they escape, the Titan goes, and beams them out, but Riker gets his ass handed to him. So Worf and Raffi and Data, I guess you could say, they beam on board the Titan. But Data's not really Data, really. He's not all there yet. He is a mixture of everything. He is a mixture of lore. He's a mixture of B4. He's a mixture of Data. He's got all of that stuff in him. So he's kind of going through all these different channels in his personality and all that stuff in his mental state. And so that was really interesting. So I like to see where that goes. I like to see where Geordie LaForge and his pretty much him saying fuck it, I will join my daughter's quest to save Starfleet, to um Starfleet's compromised. It's you got to think about it where his loyalty lies, and his loyalty is to his kids, his daughters. And he's going because Sydney chose to do the right thing, because they know what's happening is corrupt. It's dark, it's twisted. People have died already. There's going to be more people that are going to die because of this. So Geordie LaForge goes on the quest, and so we get more, of the moments between, you know, um, lore, Data, whatever you want to call them. In the trailer, they really promoted it as it was definitely lore, because you can see the loose personality that Brent Spiner is possessing in that whatever character he is. Perhaps he's channeling lore there. Perhaps he is lore. Maybe he ends up becoming lore, and lore has some sort of character arc where he does something good. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. And that's what's great. It's not predictable. This is I there's maybe a couple of things that are predictable, but ultimately they're going in directions that are surprising me, and it makes sense. So our heroes are pretty much in a situation where Riker is now a hostage of Vadic, and Picard now is probably feeling, like now this is another issue that we have to figure out. There's another problem that's added to a big problem, but this is a problem because it's Will Riker. It's his best friend. So now it's personal. I mean, it's kind of personal, but it's really personal now. And so the twisted thing about this whole situation is what in the hell, okay? Because they kind of revealed what they're after, and they're what does Picard's human remains have to do with anything? That is the question here. And that's a lot. There's a lot of questions here. There's a lot of things that are being raised, but done in an intelligently way. It's not just thrown in there for the sake of let's just make this an action thriller, space action thriller, and it's Star Trek and this and that. No, this is done very carefully. The people writing this show love Star Trek, you can tell. Now, is this the greatest Star Trek ever told? No. Is this the greatest Next Generation Star Trek so far? No. But it's pretty damn good. Okay. The series ends with, this episode ends with Riker. He's getting his ass whooped on the strike, by these changelings and Riker being Riker, he's just kind of like spit. Well, let's just actually see this, all right? Because it was cool. Oh, by the way, Brent Spiner, listen, it would be cool to see this guy as Data again in this moment, but I felt kind of nothing because he kept coming back for every version of Soong from Enterprise to Picard season 1, Picard season 2. Oh my god. And Picard season 2, it was terrible. So watching him doing this, I'm like that's cool. I'm just like, "Oh, it's Brent Spiner again." So but no, nothing against the actor, obviously. I want this version of Data lore, whatever it is, this android. I want it to be good, and so far I'm intrigued. um I know things can get a little silly, like the B4 voice, stuff like that, but Brent Spiner's a damn good actor, so yeah, it's in good hands, I believe. That was a good moment here in this episode. His eyes look pretty creepy. But yeah, this moment here was also cool for many reasons aside from seeing everyone together in the room. The score, the music. I can't say enough about the music. The score to this show is it's Jerry Goldsmith, but it's also this composer. And this composer is channels um channels their inner Jerry Goldsmith, and I absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the music in that sequence goes back to the Data music that we hear in First Contact, um, and Nemesis. Not so much in Insurrection. Insurrection, um, it kind of the score was. That's the thing about Jerry Goldsmith is that he could take a movie that is mediocre to not good and make it uh intense, thrilling. Uh it's 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 one of those things that like I appreciate the score, the score to Picard season 3, I believe there's quite a few cues there that I've heard from motion picture and also the sounds of Star Trek. Not so much the the exact music, okay, so to speak, but you know when you when you see like Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, when you see the introduction to the Enterprise and you hear James Horner's music, those violins, those sounds, that's what you hear a lot in this. It's a lot of the Star Trek music, and Stephen Barton, I believe, is the composer. Does a damn good job at channeling his inner Jerry Goldsmith and perhaps James Horner. I wish composers like in The Mandalorian can do that and channel their own John Williams per se. You know what I'm saying? You could throw in your own flavor. Stephen Barton does. He puts in his own music. I mean, he's done music for 12 Monkeys, believe Star Wars, the Jedi Survivor, I believe, the game. Um, yeah, this guy, he's good. So, and hearing the music at the end credits is also just sublime. So the episode ends with Riker getting his ass handed to him on the Shrike, being a cocky asshole, just as he always is. Doesn't change. I love Riker in this show. I love Riker, period. He's like the first officer version of Kirk. But then Vadis is like, well, I'm gonna get you to squeal, just like every other villain does. And I've got my issues with Vadic here. I'll tell you here in a second. Um, Riker's like, look, man, you think 30 years of friendship, and all that, you think you're gonna be the one to make me give up sure, okay, sure, whatever. But she pulls a dirty one, and I kind of saw this coming, but I'm glad that they did this because I was like, that would make sense because of what she said earlier. And she said, I want everyone who is close to Jean Luc Picard, I want you to get them, anyone who is close to this dude, or his peers, I'm assuming. And who do they get? Who do they show to Riker? Bingo. His wife, Deanna Troy of Beta Z. Now, okay, I could see where this is going to go. Okay. So, Marina Sirtis as Deanna Troy. Marina fucking Sirtis. This lady went insano to the braino uh, on social media a couple times. But nonetheless, she's back. It's Deanna Troy. I did not like Deanna Troy in Picard season 1. Um, whoever wrote Riker and Deanna Troy, altogether, they never watched The Next Generation. They weren't those characters. I felt bad for the actors. It was like you came back and you came back for this. So it's not their fault. Anyway, look at Riker. Now he's not smiling. Now he's like, fuck, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Remember Next Generation, how before they go into commercial, the score elevates and it fades to black. And as it fades to black, the score elevates even more and then it just cuts off. where they go, and then the Star Trek: The Next Generation logo happens. Like, we'll be right back. Remember that? I felt like this was that moment. But it also it's reminiscent to could be. It would have been funny if the editors would just have fun, and do the to be continued from Best of Both Worlds Part One, where she goes, "Will," and then this shot cuts to black. Dun 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 dun. Dun. I just watched the episode yesterday. Damn, it was good. I am Locutus of Borg. So, yep. Is she mad at him? Is she gonna be like, "Look, dude, what the hell did you guys get yourselves into?" They're gonna have that talk, right? Okay. So, um, yeah, Marina Sirtis. Deanna Troy was what to me ev- what a woman should be as a child to me growing up in the 90s. Oof. Those gray spandex. Oof. And then Jellicoe fucked it up by saying, "You gotta wear a proper uniform or wear Dick Jones." Anyway, not so much now. Oh yeah, the episode ends. Okay, so that's done. That's over. We are finished with this episode. Look, I could have covered a lot of grounds, but lots of cool moments, lots of nostalgia moments, but the nostalgia pays off because it moves the story forward. And there is a piece there, a big nostalgic piece, the HMS Bounty, the Klingon bird of prey that was used in Star Trek for the voyage home. That cloaking device was used for the USS Titan A. So now you can say, well, the Titan's rolling around with that thing, and it's awesome. And again, it's a plot device, so it's not so much like, oh, remember this. No, it's like, hey, remember this. Well, we got to use that because that would be smart to use for our situation that we're going through right now. And while it's great looking at that for a while, let's get this shit popping. And that's what they did. Aside from looking at the Enterprise A, seeing Captain Kirk's bio readings, there is a Tribble there that attacks Worf through the window. You see the Tribbles still reacting to a Klingon. You see Riker giving Worf some grief about it. Worf is kind of more of a pacifist, so Riker's kind of like, this is weird. Worf, you're just whatever. But I'm pretty sure we'll see Worf in his full Klingon glory in episodes to come. So I did enjoy this episode. It's I really enjoyed last week's episode because it brought a solution to a situation between two characters and a character that met her fate, but it was done in such a heroic and really good way. You know what I'm saying? There's some different things I would have done maybe here, but ultimately I was totally cool with it and I loved it actually. This episode, a lot of story in it is crammed in this, but not. It doesn't feel rushed. It flows well, and lots of great moments here. But again, those moments are also fueled by the story, and so that's what I think works for this. So, guys, I want to know what you guys think about this episode. Um, we've got 4 episodes left. So, 89, yeah, 4 episodes left. So we're down to Star Trek Picard season 3. Excuse me, I almost yawned there on camera. Ooh, it's not professional. So yeah, we're down, but again, I look at this as like the Next Generation season 8. It's just another season to the Next Generation that we're getting, and it's a nice wrap up to these characters so far. I like where things are going. I'm curious to see, very curious to see where things are going to go. I really, really like this show a lot. So to Terry Metalis and everyone out there. Uh, you guys are knocking it out of the park so far. So it's good stuff. All right. I'm out of here. I got to get going because I've got a life. I've got to go to work and do all those things, guys. So thank you so much for watching. And even if you disagreed with me on this video, I still appreciate you watching anyway and taking the time. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and please share this video. I have a goal for this channel, so let's get there. I do want to. It's been a while, so now I'm trying to get the ball rolling again. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I will be back once again, but until then, I'm out. Peace.